Morning and welcome, Patriot News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Thursday. I hope it finds you well. Listen, we got a lot to go over, so let's just get right to it. Our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. The website at allamericangold.com. And I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. Wow. Crazy markets. We've got an explosion in crude oil pricing. We've got more to talk about that. Interesting. Maybe our attacks on Iran imminent. We'll see. But we had a bunch of economic data out. Obviously, we had the Fed meeting yesterday. Rates stayed the same. No surprise. It was the voting. 8-4. I've been doing this a long time. One dissenter, okay. 2 is considered a lot. 3 is almost unheard of. 4 is insane. And it was mixed, right? You had one guy saying, I want to cut rates. You had 3 others that dissented because they wanted it to be known that they don't want to cut rates in the future. So it was kind of an interesting thing. Again, there is no easy answer. I wish there was. I wish there was an easy button. Really, we've had the easy button for like 40 years. What was the easy button? More debt. Simple. Now we've got everybody now that is at least tuned in. And I'm talking about the billionaires, guys like Jamie Dimon, right, and the bankers. The central banks know it. They already all agree, we're going to have a bond crisis. Yeah. The question is, what are we going to do about it, right? That's really the only question. And today we got jobless claims, an all-time record low, 189,000. On the other side of it, not a ton of hiring going on. So, no hire, no fire. Then we got inflation and GDP. Inflation, headline inflation. Man, this was a big number. Up 0.7% month over month. Obviously, expected, right? This is a March number. 0.7% month over month. Obviously, you don't want to see that every month, right? Because that puts inflation, 8.5%, something like that. By the way, year over year, 3.5%. This was a number that got down to almost 2%. Back when, before, what was it? I guess right around the election time, but jumped from 2.8 to 3.5. It is the highest level, this 3.5, since May of 2023. I guess if there's a good, the core, which you take out food and energy, up 0.3% month over month. That was as expected. Year over year also rose to 3.2%. It was 3%. So, again, I guess you can kind of say, okay, man, Joe just said jobless claims pretty much an all-time low, right? 189,000. Inflation, and the bad part is we know the number's getting worse, right? We know that April's number is going to be worse, and now we know that May's number is going to be worse. We already know. So the 3 people that dissented with the Fed, maybe we should raise rates. However, Oh, by the way, they have some super core thing. Okay, spending up 0.9%. Not keeping up, obviously, with incomes. The savings rate at a fresh 4-year low. So you think about it. This is like approaching savings rates before COVID sent everybody a bunch of money, right? We're kind of in the early money of COVID. On top of that, we did get GDP first quarter. Well, that one came in worse than expected. First quarter GDP clocked in at only 2%. Uh-oh. Remember, the plan is to grow your way out of it. So if you took headline inflation 3.5, GDP at 2%, right? Gosh, you can actually argue, did GDP go down? Yeah, I know. Well, there you have it. Some news to cut the rates. Some news to raise the rates. And I'm going to tell you, it doesn't matter. We'll be back after the break. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Let's take a quick look at the markets here. It's a really interesting market. The Dow is up 500 points. Caterpillar, of all things. The S&P's up 30. The Nasdaq's only up 50 points as earnings came in. Meta and Microsoft down, Alphabet up. I think Amazon was down. And again, I already told you about these earnings numbers, these PE ratios. They're out of sight. Be careful. The 10-year note closed above that 440 level, right now sitting 439. The UK 10-year above 5%. Crude oil, there was a big move yesterday, last night as well. Here's the good news. We're off the highs, but we may not finish here. Right now, NYMEX crude, 106 in chains. It's down 50 cents. Brent crude, it's down $3. $115. Brent crude hit $126 a barrel on news that yesterday I told you, okay, it looks like we had our mind made up. We're just doing the blockade. That may not end up working. We'll get to that in a second. Gold's up 77. Nobody should be surprised. 46.22. Silver's up $2. Nobody should be surprised. $73. What is happening? So yesterday afternoon, Donald Trump, I don't know if it was a tweet or what it was, hey, we may have to do some strikes on Iran. And then the oil markets went nuts. The two things. Number one, and I think most of it, I don't even think we have to even say it, right? But Iran's oil infrastructure isn't going to blow up in 3 days. That's not going to happen. They've got time, more time than people would like to admit, and they're already starting to shut down their oil in the right manner. But CENTCOM said they had briefed Trump on further military options. Some type of what they're calling cutting-edge not yet battle-tested hypersonic missile attacks. Listen, if we want to get the cost of the war up, do this. I think I could be wrong, but I think the hypersonic missiles are the most expensive ones we have. And we don't have very many, but they are the most expensive ones we have. What they're going to hit, I don't know. Then I want to say, this is just my explanation of it. I think the Trump administration probably downplayed it when they saw what oil did. I mean, NYMEX went crazy. Brent went insane. Then, in a speech read out loud on Iranian television, the new Ayatollah, the new one, the son, said that, and again, this was read out loud, so it wasn't, he didn't make an appearance, but they said, hey, this is from Khomeini himself, that Iran will guard its advanced technology like it does its own borders, saying that Iran will secure the Persian Gulf region and dismantle the hostile enemy's exploitation of this waterway. Okay, so then all of a sudden, so oil spikes. My thought is the Trump administration, without putting it out like on True Social, said, hey guys, I don't know, we're not going to blow stuff up. Maybe we're not. Oil was falling. That made oil stop falling. Now oil's rising again, as Israeli defense minister said, soon we will need to act again in Iran to ensure the regime cannot threaten Israel for years to come. So we'll see how it goes, right? Obviously a lot of people feel like, the United States is, hey, if Israel says this is what we got to do, then we end up doing it. So big potential here for more strikes on Iran. If it happens, I'm just going to go, ready for this craziness? Yeah, they'll do it on the weekend, right? If if they are going to strike Iran again, why do I believe, Friday after the markets close, will probably be it. But I only point it out because I really, this is something where we saw for a brief while what oil would do if this is the case, because obviously this means that we've got to go in, we've got to do something, right? Does this mean we've got to take Targ Island? Does this mean that we've got to blow up oil infrastructure? And Jason, it's sounding more and more like that, but we'll see. We got a flash. Trust me, if you thought the inflation numbers were bad this month, we haven't seen anything yet. I did notice here in Arizona, did you see gas price fly up this morning? It's not done. It's going to go higher. California, by the way, has now broken the $6 level. And everybody else better buckle up, because the one thing I didn't tell you, unleaded gas futures, dude, they're $3.75. So yesterday's big jump has held this morning. So, Jason, it appears that maybe it's not just going to be the blockade anymore.
Well, once again, wait and see, right? We'll see. And they haven't destroyed the crucial parts of Iran that would affect the economy worldwide, which is, the constriction of oil in a very well-mannered situation. But let's see what happens. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see if they actually hit Iran like it's a real war. Because if you have an enemy that you're trying to stop, why haven't they blown up all this stuff already? Why have they waited 8 weeks? If they start blowing up oil infrastructure now, it's like, well, why didn't they just do that 8 weeks ago? Wouldn't this thing have ended much, much quicker? Which begs the question, why are they doing this in the fashion in which they've chosen? So let's see what actually happens, Joe. Let's watch it, right?
Yeah, we're going to have to see because a lot of different things, too. So, man, we're going to get to the bond market here in a second. I do want to point out Jay Powell yesterday said he will stay at the Fed as a governor, which is highly unusual. He's allowed to until all charges, and the investigation and all that come to an end. So Jay Powell says, hey, I'm going to stick around until I'm in the clear. I'm just pointing that out because Donald Trump said if he did that, he's going to fire him. Going to be interesting how that would look. But let's just focus in on what's really happening. What's happening? How could GDP only be 2%? With inflation, let's face it, they're saying that if they're admitting to 3.5%, how much is it really? But we continue to talk about the bond market. Today, Japan intervened. Remember, the Japanese yen broke above this 160, right? And again, oh my gosh. And then the Bank of Japan just comes up and buys yen to act like it's not collapsing. Guys, they're running out of tricks, right? This has been going on. They keep trying, well, let's just keep doing the same thing. Let's keep doing the same thing. Let's keep doing the same thing. Let's keep kicking the can down the road. Jamie Dimon came out and warned yesterday. This is nuts. Okay, so this is the largest bank the United States has, right? J.P. Morgan Chase, the largest bank. When you figure the most important bank in the country is J.P. Morgan Chase. And Jamie Dimon's been the CEO. God, it feels like forever now. He just came out and said it. A bond crisis is likely. In other words, this is like the number one scenario, right? This isn't, when we talked about crises before, a bond market crisis, that was always like a long shot, right? That was, yeah, okay, and pigs fly out of my butt, and ifs and buts, and candies and nuts, right? Not going to happen. Now it's, this is the scenario. Rising global government debt, and it was very interesting because he's very wanted to make sure that people don't misunderstand, including the United States. So he wanted, hey, I'm not talking about Japan. Or I'm not just talking about Japan. I'm not just talking about the UK. I'm not just talking about Europe or China. No. Including the United States. The only question Jamie Dimon had was what was going to be done before the bond market crisis hits. And this is what's got him upset. Hey, everybody knows that it's coming. Why aren't we doing anything to make it so it won't be as bad, right? We there's things that we could do to make it less bad. The way it's going now, there's going to be a crisis. We're going to have to deal with it. I'm not worried that we'll be able to deal with it. I just think maturity should say you should deal with it as opposed to letting it happen. Right? So Jamie Dimon's like, oh my gosh, either way, we're going to have to deal with it. Right? No matter what. But if you're being an adult about this, maybe we should, right, try to take some steps before we just let it happen. And, of course, what is he talking about? Why do we continue to blow the bubble, right, Jason? That's what Jamie Dimon is talking about, right? Where they continue to just do asinine economic policy. And now, according to Jamie Dimon, we're going to have a bond crisis. Boy, I hope you have your gold ready. I hope you do. We'll be back after the break. 800-951-0592. $20 gold pieces today. $47.25. 10 or more, $4,700. Gold right now, $46.25, up 80. Silver's up $2 and change, almost $73.50 this morning. 800-951-0592. So, okay, Jason and I have been telling you, we're trying to guesstimate when this is going to happen. Jamie Dimon says, okay, it's happening. Here's the thing. Why aren't we doing anything about it? And the answer is very simple. There is no good option. I wish there was. Listen, I wish I had a solution. Because obviously, if you look at the inflation rate, the Fed should have raised rates this meeting. And you could argue that they probably should have raised it by half of a point. The problem is that causes repercussions in being able to roll over existing debt. Right? We already have a problem when it comes to participation in the markets. On top of it, GDP was only 2%. And with the amount of money they're pumping into the economy, this is not a good start, right? Because we're supposed to grow our way. Now, in fairness, the first quarter, which this number was, the fourth quarter, which, is the end of the year, those are the two low numbers. The GDP should get better in the second and third quarters. So again, you can almost argue, well, gosh, they should have raised rates. Instead, you had 3 Fed governors dissent. There was 4 total. One wanted to lower rates, right? We know Mirren, we know what his deal is. They weren't opposed to leaving the rate alone. Matter of fact, they're like, yeah, let's not do anything. We just wanted the market to know that we're not going to have to be forced into cutting rates when Kevin Warsh comes in. That was kind of the deal. They're going to cut them. Why am I saying that? We don't have a choice. Jamie Dimon, we haven't had a credit recession in so long. So when we have one, it's going to be worse than people think. It might be terrible. Those were his words. And why did he say it might be terrible? Because he said earlier, we're not doing anything to try to stop it. Matter of fact, we're leaning in to the debt market, aren't we? Look at the war. Look at the spending. I hate to say it, but this is terrible news for Social Security. Now, they've got a few more months because Social Security, they take June, July, and August, by the way, to determine what your Social Security, because, what your COLA adjustment is going to be already going to be significantly higher than expected. But what do we do? How do we fix it? Right? Look at Japan. Well, let's just intervene again and again and again. And it's essentially now a worthless currency, right? The only one that holds is really the Bank of Japan. The UK, right? They don't have a printing press. Europe doesn't have the printing press. We do. And we decided to use it. I talked last week about how big of an increase in the money supply. When we look at, gosh, Joe, why is the Dow near all-time record highs? Why are you saying it will go higher? They're pumping the money. U.S. government debt, second half of this year, I think they set a record for a 6-month record. It's going to be close. Think about what they did with COVID. It's going to be very close. Think about why our central banks, now not all, some of them are being right, some of them have to sell just to buy fuel. Why are they still buying? Why are they still not going to our auctions? Look at the 10-year note just hit 4.4%. It's pretty high. Why aren't they coming? Why in the last 10 years have foreign governments not bought any more treasuries? We've added $20 trillion worth of debt, and they hold the same amount. Think about it. Wait a minute. When the debt was $20 trillion, they held X. Now it's $40 trillion, and they haven't bought a single dollar more. Matter of fact, don't say this, they're selling treasuries to this day. Why? Because there's a lot of countries, I don't got any gold to sell. Right? Well, what do you got? Because you got to buy crude oil. Well, I got treasuries. Well, all right. We are on the precipice. We're on the clock. How's that? We are on the clock. The countdown has started. I still think 2027. I think we've got a year, maybe a year and a half, maybe. I hope you're ready.
And then it's going to get crazy.
Yeah, it might be terrible. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Thursday. If you're just joining us, we had a big jump in inflation. Obviously, we were expecting it. On top of that, GDP came in less than expected. The savings rate worse than expected, which again, I guess gives room for the rate cutters that are getting ready to come in. Kevin Warsh, 8-4 on the Fed vote. And it was funny, as only one was voting to dissent. against keeping rates unchanged, and he wanted to lower it. 3 of them wanted to leave rates unchanged, but dissented because they're like, listen, we can't cut rates. That's suicide. You know, Jamie Dimon's talking about maturity, right? Saying, hey, we should be doing something to stop this, right? To make it less bad, right? And let me be clear. He doesn't think we can stop it. Okay, that was I misspoke. Why aren't we taking measures so it'll be less bad? That's his worry. So he's already telling everybody, oh, by the way, this is going to be worse than most people think. And then he finishes with, it might be terrible. And I want to remind you, this is what we're talking about. This is the sudden. How did you go bankrupt? Gradually at first. Jamie Dimon's letting you know, we're in the gradual stage, right? We're gradually going bankrupt. This, when it happens, is going to be violent. Because what's a bond market crisis really? Nobody shows up. That's the bond market crisis. Nobody shows up to buy the debt. Yields spike out of control. Hey, instead of going up 1/10 of a point, maybe 2/10, what if it goes up a whole point in a single day? It's unheard of. But this is what Jamie Dimon's warning about. Right? This is what Jamie Dimon is saying is coming. Right? And Jason, we say it all the time. It's okay to be a little early, but you can't be a day late. You just can't be.
Yeah, if you held Enron stock one day after it crashed, that's not so good. Maybe if you were selling it off a year before, well, then you're considered a genius, even if you sold it a year before, right, Joe? No matter what the price. Because you got out.
Right.
Right? And with gold, it's about getting in. It's about getting in before sharp price rises due to inflative and governmental decisions, right, Joe?
$20 gold pieces, 1 through 9, $47.25, 10 or more, $4,700 at 800-951-0592. So now you've heard it from somebody who, by all accounts, hates gold, right? The most important bank CEO in, let's just call it what it is, in the world, just came out and said, oh, this is unavoidable. The only real true question is, why aren't we being, as he calls it, more mature about this and taking steps to minimize how bad this is going to be? Instead, Jamie Dimon knows we're doing the exact opposite of that. And we're getting ready to have a new head of the Fed that Jason he's going to lean into it. And the problem will be they'll have to dramatically do a U-turn. They're going to cut rates this year. I guarantee it. And then, why do I have a horrible feeling, Jason? We could see interest rates do something we haven't seen since Volcker. I mean, that type.
Yep.
I know it's almost impossible to think that it could. No, it's not impossible. It is likely. Well, likely.
If the big banks get to start printing money at their leisure, then that will be the excuse for why our rates are higher and big banks' rates are lower. See how nicely that'll fit, Joe? Because they don't want to have the Fed funds rate control the big banks' lending rates going up or going down when they need it, and then going up with inflation, then going down to save the markets. They'll just keep it low for the biggest players, and then it'll be higher for everybody tiered down to the bottom. I mean, it's how credit cards work. just look at credit cards, the loan sharks of the planet, that the highest rates for the most risky, low-down people, and the nicer rates and the happy rates for the upper crust, Joe.
Just remember, when we're looking at all of the things that we're talking about, they only have one solution. And the repo market is being flooded. The reverse repo market is empty. And like Jason said, the banks will get a special rate. We'll get something else. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason. $20 gold pieces. $47.25. 10 or more. $4,700. We've got gold up 75, silver's up a couple of bucks, the Dow's up 600, Caterpillar. It's a weird market because the Nasdaq's only up 40. Caterpillar, they make I guess I should have known this, right? But they make the generators, right, for all the AI stuff, right? And these things are massive, right? So, yeah, okay, good for Caterpillar. I don't know. But really the story of the day today is Jamie Dimon saying it's coming. It is the likely scenario, and it's going to be terrible. Wait, no, I'm sorry. It's going to be a lot worse than everybody thinks, and it might be terrible because we lack the maturity to actually try to minimize what is coming. And, of course, what does that mean? Well, gosh, what leader wants to come out and say, gosh, sorry, guys, I got unlucky. I happened to be in charge, and we ran out of time, right? We kept kicking the can. We're at the edge. We're going to go over. So to make it less bad, I'm going to destroy our economy. Who wants to do that? Nobody. Why? Well, because there's going to be somebody in there. Oh, no. We can grow our way out. Right? And, of course, we know that's not true. Look, we've been growing the debt. I mean, it doubles every 8 years. It's astronomical, and we're never able to grow our way out. And today I thought was a great example. I mean, if it wasn't for 3.5% inflation, I guess GDP would have been negative 1.5, right? Because GDP was only 2.
There's recessionary pressures all the time right now, right, Joe? That's why you print the money to escape a recession. So let's see how much printing goes on beyond the money that's already flying into the country, and we'll see where it ends up, because it's going to be an interesting rest of this year, and then as Joe's been saying, next year's going to be some rocky roads, and even in 2028, we could see it like a year and a half of it being really tough.
Yeah, and again, we've got everybody and their mother intervening in these markets, from Japan to England to the United States, right? We're all intervening. Why? Because we don't want true price discovery, right? Japan's like, well, we don't want everyone to know it's worthless, right? The U.S., we don't want everyone to know demand for our bonds stinks, right? They don't want true price discovery. That's why you need to keep adding to your gold. 800-951-0592.